before we start, I just want to say our partner Nick, Pandemonium Reviews, got COVID and he couldn't come here. So, you know, we're really bummed that he couldn't be here, and he is too, because he really wanted to be here and meet everybody. But yeah, so you get us.
Yeah, we're almost as good.
Definitely check out his channel. He does like these deep dive documentaries on Saturn games. So.
Yeah. But yeah, welcome to the panel, everybody. We are Sega Saturn Shiro, or the Shiro Media Group, I guess, nowadays.
We used to be. Started out as a podcast in 2017, Sega Saturn Shiro podcast, but we kind of branched out into all sorts of stuff. So.
Yeah, magazines, articles, news, streams, other stuff, other things. We're trying to get our OnlyFans up, but
our whole purpose is to share the love of Sega Saturn and get more people into the console. For a lot of folks, this is a console you never experienced back in the day because you chose stronger horses, or but it was a great console and it has a bunch of games. So yeah, we're gonna try to convince you guys of that.
Yeah, and why the Saturn is our future. Why you should play the Sega Saturn, and love it, and buy like 20 copies of each game because you love it that much.
Absolutely.
Or at least one Magic Knight Rare Earth, but
20 copies of PRGE Saga.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, in late '97, Bernard Stoller, rest in peace. He went on the record saying the Saturn.
Should we introduce ourselves first?
Okay,
No, we didn't.
Hi, I'm Saturn Dave.
I'm Patrick Trainoko.
I'm Ben.
And we were from Sega Saturn Shiro, so we good. So where are we at with Bernie?
Well, I was just saying it. So in late '97, Bernie on the record said Saturn's not our future, and that premature statement, which I believe he probably kicked himself, it was a little premature, and it immediately kind of set the tone for the Saturn in the market and killed it off. So basically in '98 there were like 6 games released, and then that was it, and it went dormant until Dreamcast like a year later. So it was kind of but we're firmly convinced that the Saturn is our future, at least in terms of like the homebrew and the enthusiast scene, because there's been a huge just explosion of interest in the console and in development for the console, translating the games and stuff. So that's what we're here to talk to you guys about why the Saturn is our future.
And why you should buy like 5 copies for each room of your house, like bathroom, kitchen, wherever you want to play the Saturn. You need to play it in each of those rooms.
Okay, so Patrick must be thinking everybody's here rich, because currently Saturn is not known for being a cheap system to buy games for sure. But there are ways to mitigate that.
Yeah, we've got some of the reasons just running through real quick are like new hardware that's coming out, and Pseudo Saturn Kai is kind of like a soft mod. This is probably the entry method that you might use if you wanted to play some games on burned CDs. If any of you guys have a CD burner or do that kind of thing.
Look online for certain sites.
You can pick up one of these carts, and a lot of folks make them. That used to just be like EMS. It used to just be one company that made them, and now a lot of companies make this basically $40 cart that you can plug into your Saturn, and it basically allows it to boot region-free and allows it to boot, burned CDs, right?
Exactly. You just shove it in there, either mod one for getting an action replay, or you just buy them on eBay, just like Pseudo Saturn Kai carts, like this little tiny thing. It's like, I think, was it $20 to $30 or something?
And I mean, we're not advocating piracy, but at the same time, it's like if you have friends that you can borrow games from, or if you can rip games. I mean, we're advocating people play Sega Saturn any way that you can,
Listen, let's be honest here. How many of you really want to pay $1,500 for Panzer Dragoon Saga to play the game?
But it's a
there we go. One person out of the entire audience game, we're good. So
right.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously you don't want to,
But
the game is known for that.
How many people know that there's a widescreen modification of Panzer Dragoon Saga?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, got a lot of people.
Really?
Yeah, played in widescreen. I think some games are even native widescreen, like Defense Spy has a native widescreen as well, which I didn't even know.
So the thing we're getting at here is that Sega said that Saturn wasn't their future, but the community said, no, wait a second, we're going to go ahead and make a bunch of cool stuff for the Saturn that makes a bunch of new stuff possible, like the Gamers cartridge. That allows you to store saves on SD card, and also allows you to boot, burn disks, and allows you to boot region free. And you got things like Rhea and Phoebe optical drive emulators.
This is the first one, yeah. This is like 2015. These came out, and it allows you to boot like CCD image subfiles and from an SD card. And it's kind of hard to get those formats. I think they're pretty reliable. I know a lot of people that are big fans of that format, and it really works out. Yeah, he's back there.
This is kind of, though, this was like years ago that this came onto the scene where people created this stuff, and now there have been several options for people that are accessible through Stone Age Gamer or through Terra Onion.
You don't have to wait like at like 3 in the morning from some website in Europe to try to get a pre-order in the next 1 second before it sells out. You know, we have options now. We can finally get these a little bit more readily available than it was back then.
Yeah, essentially you can replace the drive in your Saturn if it's burnt out, you know, or you can just get something like the Satiator, which is basically an EverDrive, you know, for the back of your Saturn. You plug it into the VCD card slot, and you load a bunch of your games on there.
Yep, just set it and forget it. You know, just shove it in the back. You don't have to remove any disk drives or anything. Just put it in there and it automatically boots. I mean, I think it's pretty good. It is a bit pricey, but in my opinion, I think it's definitely worth it if you just want something. Set it and forget it. And I mean, it's going to be a quarter, maybe less for that for one copy of a really expensive game.
Yeah, and you don't even have to take your Saturn apart for the Satiator, and that's a unique option for itself there.
So you know, I guess the takeaway here is that there are a lot of ways you can play. You can emulate Saturn. The emulation is really great.
Yeah, it's a misnomer that Saturn's hard to emulate. You can emulate it. It's a little bit easier than doing something like an N64 or something. Mm-hmm. And they have you can play games in 4K on emulation. I mean, it's kind of insane. Like, yeah, it's kind of really interesting.
And you know, there's things like online play. Sega was way ahead of their time with online play. In '96, they brought us the NetLink, which was a way that you could literally dial up from East Coast to West Coast, or you know, from
if you can afford it on your phone bill.
On your phone bill, you can dial up somebody's digits.
Don't tell your parents.
And we actually have over in the Saturn Lounge, we have phone line simulators that will allow you to kind of get that experience, you know, to be able to dial one machine to another, you know, there are folks in the community who have made it available again, not just using a phone line simulator at the same table, but actually connecting with someone across the globe using like a tunnel, basically. And it's very simple. It's very simple, but it's incredibly crazy, like how the enthusiast community has come together to make this stuff possible.
And it's just getting even crazier too. Like, I mean, we might not even need a NetLink, right? At one point.
Absolutely. I mean, they have found a way. They found a way not only to unlock all of the Japanese games that were basically locked behind, you know, a region.
Yeah, because basically in Japan they use servers to connect with people, but the U.S. it's just direct dial telephone. So, you know, we kind of need to work around that to be able to play online for Japan games at least.
But I mean, you know, I'm sorry we're all over the place, but we have a lot of slides to get through.
But I mean, we had to get through a lot of information in 37 minutes.
I mean, essentially, the reason why you want to play Saturn though is because you've got so many awesome 2D shooters on this console.
Yeah.
You've got so many awesome 2D fighters. You've got Capcom fighters that are basically arcade perfect with the RAM card. You have the pinnacle of 2D gaming, essentially. And then you also have like the birth of 3D. A lot of those polygonal games are actually quite fun. You know, maybe PlayStation kind of refined it and did it better, and Saturn died off before, you know, their time. But you do have some really solid 3D games on there. So, and some of them support online play, like Virtual On with the twin sticks. You can dial up somebody on the East Coast and be playing that with the twin sticks with like no lag.
Exactly, and it's insane just being able to play that on a multiplayer thing, or even setting up at a table like we do with the Saturn booth, where it's like a LAN party sort of thing. We can use 2 different TVs. It's like, I don't know, it's really cool to me. I love Virtual On. Go play it if you haven't, please.
Yeah.
Love Virtual On.
What do you think, Ben?
Yeah. Yeah, so we know that most of you got the PlayStation when it was out, when we were doing the Saturn versus the PlayStation. There's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, I think there is. I'm just joking.
Sure. But the Saturn is the tops when it comes to 2D sprites. 2D sprite games, you're not going to be able to beat the Saturn. And so if you're looking for something in the retro community that can play something like that, Saturn's the way to go, all the way.
Exactly, and it's surprising how many games you see online you can really play, and stuff that's even patched online. I mean, yeah, it's just kind of really cool. Like, I mean, you can play Puzzle Bobble online. I mean, you gotta play Puzzle Bobble. It's my opinion.
Like because of the Dreamcast's better adoption rate and the fact that the Dreamcast is easier to program.
And it came with a modem too.
We've enjoyed like homebrew stuff for the Dreamcast for I want to say over a decade, maybe even longer than that. It's been very common for enthusiasts to be pumping out stuff for the Dreamcast and getting Dreamcast online and everything. Saturn, you know, there was a learning curve involved because it was a very complicated architecture, but the fans are so dedicated. Fans like you, like Pete, just regular people. We had Seven Shades, who's a developer, a homebrew developer for Saturn, come to the Saturn room and demo his own game, CubeCat. And I swear, CubeCat is this cute little platform.
Do you want to show the...
Yeah, I don't know where it is. There you go, fan translations.
We can just jump to that real
skip
quick.
ahead to CubeCat.
Yeah, we're
It's okay, we'll come back, we'll come back.
We'll come back.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, I'm just jumping into this because I'm saying it's amazing that just people like you that love this console and are passionate about it decide they want to get creative and they want to do something. Like go from 0 to
100?
programming for Saturn, you know?
I mean, we have, I don't know how many of you know the SSG at all, the Southern Saturn gamer, but he does, he actually did his own fan translation of that. We'll talk about it later, but like, just, I guess, just going back, like, we have a huge community that, like, there's all these games and stuff, like Seven Shades, like, making these homebrew games. I mean, do you want to go through the fan translation?
I do, yeah, I do.
We talk about that.
I mean, yeah, so
We appear to be getting some excitement through this page.
Exactly, we appreciate it.
I mean,
We got a lot of good games.
So you had a bunch of games locked in Japan just behind a language barrier, right?
Oh, it's just water bottle.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we don't need
You had all
water.
these games locked behind a language barrier, and a lot of these, I've carried like a chip on my shoulder for years, like, oh, I wish I could get that game. I dreamt about it. I read about it in magazines. Like, I would love to play this on the Saturn. Never happened until fans took it into their own hands, like Junker HQ,
Yeah.
doing, you know, Police Knots, not just on the Saturn, but on the PlayStation 2. Fully playable, gun support, stunner, play it, it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm a bit biased. I kind of like the game a little bit, just a tiny little bit.
I mean, this
you
is
know.
Hideo Kojima back when he was making like 2D adventure.
Like this is like the Snatcher, like I don't know how many of you guys played Snatcher, but like if you haven't, Police Knots is definitely a natural evolution. It's kind of like Lethal Weapon with space.
Do you have a question?
I just have the Saturn copy of Snatcher.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to get that one
We'd
translated.
love to have that game translated, and it's gonna come down to a fan, you know, because it's not like Sega's gonna do it. It's not like Konami's gonna do it, but it'll happen. Like I'm pretty confident because people step up in this community and they do amazing things, and that's why being a Saturn fan is so exciting today because the console's not dead. It's just getting started. Like people are discovering it. You know, gamers are like kids on Christmas who have just discovered this brand new console with this huge library of games, close to like 1,500 to 2,000, depending on shovelware. You know, there's like 1,500 great games on this console, and it's like to PlayStation and Nintendo 64 fans, it's like a new console.
I mean, like there's only like a quarter of the games that are released in Japan or that are released in America. Like I think there's over 1,000 games in Japan that was published. About?
Yeah, there was close to 2,000 games.
Oh wow, 2,000. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's around 2,000. We only get like 249,
Yeah.
50 something of that.
Yeah.
So like there's a limitless. There's a thing I always say that I think I know everything about Saturn, but then something crazy comes out of left field, like a printer or something, and that's just crazy. And we have tons of fans for this. Like they showed Grandia as a big one.
Grandia is arguably the definitive version of the game. It was developed by Game Arts for the Saturn. They did a PlayStation version that got localized. A fan, Trekkies Unite, took it in their hands to translate the entire game. It's done. You can buy a cheap copy of Grandia, a Japanese copy of Grandia, and you can patch it easily to.
I really like this custom one they put on there, Dave. That's a really cool custom piece for that. I really like it.
Sakura Wars is a huge series in Japan. It was a system seller in Japan.
Exactly. It's just a really renowned game. And unfortunately in the U.S. Not many people got to experience it, even though we got like the game, like the movie of it, the animated series, and all the movies and stuff. Wow. I guess Mike wants to attack me.
And just in case you guys are wondering about the patches are easy to do. We have instructions on our website as well as videos.
Yeah, Ben does a really good video on patching that one, right?
That's another thing. A lot of this might seem like super nerdy stuff that, I'm not very technical, I don't know what I'm doing. people from the community have stepped up and made this stuff less technical, like Knight of Dragon, who is responsible for giving us a lot of these translations, like Castlevania, and like Shining Force 3 trilogy.
Do you wanna
He also
show
made a
this?
patcher that you literally can just drop your disc into the drive
Yeah.
and catch it.
No more like ripping the assets out, but literally just set it and forget it.
We can do questions as we go, it's cool. There's no rules, no?
I think he has one right there.
Okay, yeah.
So, if one wanted to go out and buy a Saturn, let's say off the used market, off the
Yeah.
what is the usual price range that you
Like
all
60 to 80.
60
And if you know a friend, maybe you can get one for like 50. Obviously, you used to be able to get Saturns all day, every day for like $40 a couple years ago. And then now,
It's gone up. I mean, it's lots of
gone up.
inflation, game stuff,
But also,
grading and stuff. Yeah, you know how it is.
Well, you got Sega Lord X, right? He's my personal friend.
Yeah.
Great guy. He loves Saturn. He's been pushing it. We've been pushing it. Sorry, the prices have gone up because more people want to play it. But we really recommend that you play it because
Yeah, and we're not,
there's just so many great games.
and don't get it misnomer. We're not saying, oh, you need to go buy like $1,000 game right now. No, do what we said before. Burn it. Play down the emulation. There's so many good options.
Also getting Japanese Saturns is
Yes.
much cheaper.
That's
Yes.
you. Y'all watching Japan?
Buy one
Shout out.
broken. Buy one
Yes. broken
and put an ODE in it. Chances are it's broken because the disk drive is burnt. In fact, before I came here, I play on a satiator, which is like an EverDrive, right? Before I came here, I tested my daily driver, and it turns out the laser's burnt.
Rip in
And
peace.
I didn't even know because I always play on the satiator.
Yeah.
But the point is, you can get a new power supply for a Saturn. If that's burnt out, you can get a really low voltage one. Available on like Stone Age Gamer. You can get new cheap parts for these consoles.
New
So
cheap
you can
control-
get a super
decent
dirt
controllers,
cheap
too.
one on a Japanese auction or on eBay.
Yeah.
Even like a US seller, there's some cheap ones sold as junk, and just slap a satiator in there and you're good to go.
Yeah, we're now the cheap ass gamer panel here, and cheap ass retro gamers. So yeah, here's a big hint. Yahoo Action Japan, buy E or whatever proxy you like. You can get so much cheaper for stuff and in bulk as well.
Yeah, there's two things that usually break on a Saturn. It is the power supply and it's the CD drive.
Yeah.
The good news is those are the two objects that are the easiest to replace in the Saturn
Yeah.
with current hardware. Somebody had mentioned about the Japanese Saturns. Japanese Saturns usually sell cheaper, as you know, about 50 to 60 bucks a piece versus the about 75 to 85 for US version. But since we're doing all of this stuff to it and you can get a card for it, Japanese Saturns are just fine. They'll play everything you want to play.
Exactly. There's no more region coding and worry about that. You just get a simple EverDrive, or even like an Action Replay. I think would work. Just their base one for Japan. You can get them on Amazon almost.
Did you have
new
questions?
box.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that like the Sega Saturn gamepad, I would definitely argue it's probably the greatest 2D gamepad.
Totally agree.
Definitely, I think it's a great
Yeah, totally agree.
gamepad.
I mean, it's built for like arcade gameplay, so you got those 6 face buttons. You can do combos with it really simple, whether it's Mortal Kombat or 03, Alpha 03. Like, that's not even a game.
03. That's the Mega Man. We got Mega Man on there
But the
confirmed.
point is, it's insane controller, and then of course the 3D control pad is great for analog stuff as well. But going back to his question about like how much does the Saturn cost? If I go back here, and I'll just flip back to this, so you get a cheap Saturn, and you've got like different options. Like I said, anywhere from like a $40 cart and burned CDs, whatever that costs you, to putting like a Terra Onion mode in it for, I don't know, $200. A Fenrir for about 100, a little over 100.
And you can even,
euros.
and that's even in active development. You can start loading from Wi-Fi soon.
Again, this is just a fan. Sed is a fan. He's a guy from France. He makes these things, and they have onboard Wi-Fi. So soon, I'm really hoping that it'll be able to connect to your network attached storage, and you'll just be able to boot games over Wi-Fi.
Exactly,
But
it's
again,
insane.
It's not like any official company. Like Sed is like just a guy,
Just some guy in France in his house with a soldering iron. I mean,
They're affordable. They're affordable, and they're very easy to install. They're like take apart the screws, open it up, pull out a ribbon cable. pop
no
this
soldering
in,
required.
CD drive gone, and you're up and running with an SD card, that you can just drag and drop files onto. Or Professor Abrasive, again, a fan from New Zealand, goes ahead and reverse engineers the Saturn CD block and gives us an EverDrive. Basically, it's just like the size of a pack of cards, and it just pops into the back of the Saturn. This one will run you like $250.
But I mean, yeah, it's the probably drop. It's like I said, stuff seems expensive, but when you get Saturn games, you're gonna be like, oh, this is
Yeah,
cheaper
I
than
mean,
one game.
You could spend $300 on Magic Knight Ray Earth, you know, or more actually now.
1,500 actually.
Okay, sorry, I'm like way behind the times.
Actually, it's 1,000 probably.
Yeah.
Just to point this out, I just paid $200 for Shining the Holy Ark. So
There you
Yeah,
go.
it's a good deal though, right?
That's
Like,
pretty good.
That's kind of a good deal.
that is a good deal. I'm
Yeah.
just saying that that's a good deal.
Yes.
Exactly, that's a good deal. That's a
Great
big
game, too.
Sorry if I missed this beginning, are any of these out there in the show floor today?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so like if you come to the Saturn Lounge,
Yeah.
which is over in D133, we've got a ton of Saturn experiences for you guys to get hands on.
Like name something that's gonna be there. I
Yeah.
can probably almost guarantee it, unless it's something super
Like
obscure.
The modern, like,
Yes.
modified hardware, plus we like,
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
we can
everything.
we can demo mode. We can
Mhm.
demo satiator. I think we have a Fenrir.
We have a Rhea too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also have one with the mod ship. Yeah.
purchase over there.
Oh, the
To
purchase.
We don't have anything for sale in the lounge. It's really just a playground. It's kind of like come test everything out and see what. But all I'm saying is like, somebody mentioned paying $200 for a long box game, right? You know, is long box US?
Yeah, oh, it's
so
long
so
box.
see, I love Saturn. I live and breathe Saturn. I have almost a full US long box collection, and I know it's expensive, but I chose to go that route because I'm that committed to the console. But you can get into this console for really little or a lot if you want to go all the way, right? You know?
Or you can be like me and just get all the weird dating sims from the Japanese games, like the 04 Doozy or whatever it is, and
We've got
try
two
to
versions
yeah.
of Lunar Silver Star Story, which
For the
you
fan translation, yeah.
and then Lunar Silver Star Story Complete, the VCD card version, which has updated like visuals.
It used the PSP dub of it, yeah, the PSP dub of that, and
Again, thanks to fans.
yeah, it still has the working designs text. So if you guys aren't a fan of that, you know.
Yeah.
But honestly, I kind of like it. That might be a hot take, but I like it.
We got Death Mask, which is like a cyberpunk, point and click FMV kind of Blade Runner, very Blade Runner derivative game. Thanks to a Murder of Crows, who was somewhere in this.
Yeah, I think he left. There's a guy with blue
He's
hair over there.
working. He's working a booth in the arcade.
But yeah, if you want to talk to him about that, he's in the arcade. He has his booth. He's blue hair. You won't miss him. You can't miss him.
Big tall guy.
Yeah,
big tall guy, you
guy,
can't miss
blue
him.
hair, can't miss him. You've got Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and it's had several quality of life optimizations. So the PlayStation version was excellent, right? And I think a lot of people agree that the PlayStation version was the best version. The Saturn version was rushed because it came at the very end when they found out that they were shutting off the lights for Saturn, so they were just like, okay, kick it out the door. We're not gonna get paid for this thing if it doesn't ship and sell some. But like, fans have come along, not only translated it, but added quality of life improvements that almost make it arguably the definitive version to play.
Exactly. I mean, mine's little bit of lag here and there. I think it's probably, in my opinion, the best version of it. It also has a better box
There's also
art,
got a
in my
black
opinion.
screen here for bulk slash.
Oh, there's
Which
video
is
that's
a
supposed to
darn
play.
shame.
Oh, it is video, but it's a PDF.
Yeah, it's a PDF.
Bulk
so
slash is so
we don't
good.
got internet.
So,
sadly.
so Bulk Slash is an amazing game that has twin stick support, and it's like a mech shooter game. And fans, again, from the community, just like you, like normal people, excellent people that just love this console and want to like breathe new life into it, got together and got voice actresses and voice actors to do a full localization, like Hollywood style, way better than any game studio would have done.
Literally, it's like it's like a new dub. Like the people that behind it literally were like, hey, I want to do this, and they're actually working on a new one right now called For Stellar Assault Double S. Finally got the name right.
I was gonna say that game has a great soundtrack.
It has
Yeah,
an
that
excellent
too.
soundtrack. And go ahead.
If that game had been released in the 90s, it doesn't look something like 90s anime dub.
Yes.
Doesn't that's not really the best thing.
Probably not. He
No.
says probably not the best thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I can agree with that. A lot of the stuff, if it had come out then, was either ahead of its time or just like wouldn't have hit right. You know, I agree. Like a Netman didn't really hit right. A lot of people bought into it. What was your question?
So question on accessories. So you mentioned the twin stick. And
Yep.
I know some of the fight sticks are kind of harder to find. Are there controller adapters to use like more common PlayStation?
There actually is. There's a. It's called the Brook. The Brook.
Wingman.
The Wingman. Yeah. It's for Dreamcast and Saturn. You can plug in any PS4, or probably Xbox or PC compatible fight stick and be able to play that on the Saturn as well. You don't have to. Finally, we don't have to dremel out a control panel to get San some Mitsu buttons in there. Or
Did you just say though that twin sticks are pretty cheap on dog auctions?
they are. Oh. for an adapter. I'm just saying because he probably, I think he meant like the fight sticks, not the twin
okay,
sticks.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, but twin sticks is pretty affordable if you guys want that on Yahoo Auctions. Like I got mine for like $10 plus shipping. Like honestly, I paid more in shipping for it than
Right.
buying it. Funnily
You have
enough.
to use like a proxy service to bid for you, but it's
Yeah.
like Japan just has. It's just piling up over there, and they don't have any more space because they keep making new game stuff, you know, and they have so
Exactly.
little space. So
Yeah.
they're exporting a lot of that stuff through Yahoo Auctions.
Hey, if us Western fans are gonna pay for it, why not, right?
Right?
I think that guy had one real quick.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There's a lot of
Oh.
there's a lot of interesting Japanese exclusive Saturn accessories, mainly game basic.
Yes.
Are there any efforts to preserve that?
So
As that's one of the like really like niche parts of the Saturn.
right, Game Basic was a software. It's kind of like NetYarose. It was like a software like here, let folks design or develop their own games, right?
Yeah, but it's only like the span of the RAM. So if you
It-
can't fit in RAM, it's
It
like
was very limited by the RAM. It was kind of clunky, the development process, and it used the Saturn serial port to interface with. We recently had a member of our own community write up a really long article about Saturn Basics, showing you like how to use it and how to develop with it if you want to. But again, like, do I think it should be preserved? Yes. Do I think that people should try to develop with it? No. Because again, fans have made better tools. You know, like Johannes Fetz has developed Joe Engine, which is a really great way for any newbie to just get up and running. XL2, we talk about homebrew games. Let's fast forward to XL2. So XL2, he lives up in Canada, right? He's a French guy in Quebec, I think, and he went from zero, like knowing very little amounts of C programming, to using Joe Engine, and then just quickly it blew up into like a Quake killer. Like this thing has deathmatch, it has bots, it has like
don't forget it's like 16-player
it has like
multiplayer, something like
RTX
crazy.
style features like ray tracing. It's not really ray tracing, but it's like visual tricks. And it uses areas of the Saturn's RAM even that probably wouldn't have passed QC. It wouldn't, like you weren't supposed to use those areas of RAM. Just like the PlayStation, they wanted to keep Naughty Dog in a box, and Naughty Dog kind of like said, no, we're going to do things.
We can do it now because I don't think Sega's gonna hit
Yeah, I
us
don't think
with
Sega's
that.
gonna care. So like he went from zero to like developing this game that you can go test out in the Saturn Lounge.
Yeah,
It's
just come ask.
amazing.
Yeah,
It is
because
amazing,
I want
and
to play
it-
Hell Salute. It's like heck yeah, we'll play some Hell
It
Salute.
gives Lobotomy Soft a run for their money, and I have all respect for Lobotomy Soft, who did Duke Nukem on Saturn and Quake on Saturn when nobody thought that was possible, and they also did Power Slave on Saturn, which was excellent. You know, but here's a guy who's just a guy, who decided I want to make a Saturn game, and Joe Engine kind of made that possible. So, did you have a question?
I wasn't saying people should make games for it, but I was
Right,
saying like
it should be preserved for
Yeah.
sure.
another thing is the 3D pad is becoming like increasingly expensive.
Yes.
Do you think there will be like reproduction controllers by other companies?
I think Retrobit's showing off their analog thing, but I don't know if it's a true analog pad or not.
You guys should. We haven't even had the opportunity to go check it out, but Retrobit is demoing a dual analog Saturn pad that's wireless, like over in the.
In the
Check
showroom
it out.
floor
That
of the
answers
other
my
booth.
question.
Yeah, well, okay, so there's a caveat though, because Kenji Tosaki, the guy who designed the 3D pad, and he also designed all the Dreamcast peripherals, the 3D pad is the DNA of the Dreamcast pad, He said that it uses Hall sensors, which are magnetic, there's no contact. So it doesn't wear out over time. And as a result, you don't suffer from drift like you get with the Joy-Cons, Those are volume sensors, and they suffer from drift over time because it's a really poor design. Whereas Hall sensors use magnetic fields, and then each 3D control pad has a CPU in it that interprets that input as a complicated curve. And so he said to put that back into production would almost be impossible sourcing those kind of parts now. So yes, there could be an analog solution in the form of volume sensors, but it wouldn't be like as accurate as the 3D control pad.
And we don't know if the one the Retrobit yet, if it's actually just a true analog or a sort of an interpretation of the digital pad.
I did read the same article from
Oh, cool.
from the developer, but
Yeah.
Hall sensors are making a comeback.
Are
now.
they?
Yeah.
So,
So just like
yeah.
20 years later, they're now a thing.
That's awesome.
Probably because everything keeps breaking on everything
Yeah.
else. It's not it. So.
I mean, it was way ahead of its time. It was so forward thinking, really. You had a question?
On the 3D pad, I have several of them, and way back when I was still playing the Saturn, like in the early 2000s,
Yeah.
most of my 3D pads had quit working. I had a few that continued to work. Here, a couple years ago, I got the Saturn back out, and the 3D pads that had still worked at that back when I used them had quit working. One of the other things, like one of the analog triggers had stopped, or the 3D stick itself had stopped. I didn't know if there was. I did some searches online. I couldn't really find any answers about why that would happen or how to fix them. I didn't know if you'd heard of it or if it was a common thing.
You know, I mean, I know that the springs wear out, and those are easily fixed by just kind of like retensioning them or buying a new spring. When it comes to the Hall sensors, maybe clean them off. Find if there's any leaky caps, because it has an actual printed circuit board with a CPU and some ICs. So it's possible that I don't think there's any caps on there. There might be really small ones.
Like maybe small circuits you can just replace, but it shouldn't be too hard.
I don't have an answer to your question, but I would take it apart and kind of clean it out.
And even years and years ago, I did clean thoroughly and
And you
everything.
just couldn't.
No,
Wow. Yeah.
it might be. Yeah, it just might be. Also, there might be just other extenuating circumstances with that causes issue, and it kind of sucks that it happens.
Yeah, it could also
I hate when
be
you can't
the
fix
edge-
anything.
It could also be the edge connector. Their 3D control pads were actually called a multi-controller in Japan because they were meant to have a bunch of peripherals for them. So the cord is detachable, and it uses an edge connector. Instead of pins, it uses an edge connector, and if that's not clean, it might not work properly.
So yeah, maybe try ISO on that.
And even if one of the pins, some buttons could work, but others couldn't. So we have like 14 minutes. A little less than that left.
Talked about that. We talked about all the cool homebrew games.
Shouts to Seven Shades right here in the blue
Yeah,
mask.
give them round of hand. Sorry, you deserve it. You deserve it. Holy crap, that game was a winner didn't it won a game competition 21, right?
That's right. It won the annual game competition.
Yeah.
It is a 3D, cute, very cute 3D platformer that controls really, really well. It's got double jump. It's got like your little cat kicking a ball of yarn around onto little platforms.
It's more addicting than it sounds, I promise you.
It's like orders of magnitude more controllable than Croc or Tomb Raider or any of that stuff.
Like you can just like grab the ball, move it around. It's like what we wanted from a 3D platformer that we complain about. Why can't I just grab the ball? Why can't I just like? But yeah, it feels very, very fluid. And it feels like you have control.
Yeah, so
and
you
that's
can
what I love
play
about
that.
it.
You can play that over in our room.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you guys know if there's like any playable version of the unreleased Sonic Extreme?
Yeah, we do have it. The box of
Yes.
one too.
There's a couple, like XL2, the guy who did Hellslave, he did the famous Metal Sonic Battle, where it's like running around in like a 3D circle, and it has a fish. And then Voxel, a dude from the UK, just put out for Sage, Sonic Fan Games competition. He just put out like a completely playable. We have that in the room as well. You guys can come check it out at our home.
Exactly. Just ask, hey, I want to play the
And
Sonic Extreme game. We'll
it's
got you back.
using all of the original assets dumped from the original build. He was able to dump all those assets and actually build it out for play on real Saturn hardware. Come check it out. It's got the fisheye lens. It's amazing. He's even got the battle with the Weasel. I forget what his name is.
The one that killed Sonic's girlfriend or whatever?
What's that?
Bang the Sniper.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, there it is. Thank
Also
you.
known as Knack.
Nah, exactly.
I brought up the topic of having layers available, and I know there's a few different ones for the Saturn, so I wanted to know in your opinion what has the broadest range of compatibility.
Mednefen is the most compatible, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say Midneffen is the most compatible. It's the one that I use, and I've had no problems with it.
Yeah. You have if you want to run on a potato, I would say SSF.
Is there like an SSF thing for the Steam Deck too or something?
Yeah.
I think they have something like they can download that Dan Thrax wrote up about. But there's that. If you want to play on the Steam Deck, I imagine a few guys have that, and that's kind
So
of a
when
cool
it comes
thing.
to emulators, it's like this. There's 3 of them. You got SSF for playing anything on a potato, and it's basically just going to render it 224 by 320, and it's good though. A lot of developers will test on SSF because it's pretty SKID for that kind of stuff. But that's like not open source. It's like a single Japanese developer. Then you have Mendefen, which is really good in compatibility. You've also got Chronos, and is that like a, I think, RetroArch?
Yeah, it's in the RetroArch.
RetroArch family. And then of course you got Yabaus, which Yabaus is great for...
I call it Yabause, it's not Yabause.
If you have a beefy PC and you want to upscale Saturn games into like 4K and render the polygons like much sharper...
It's going to melt your 3090 just clean through the motherboard.
You have options, but yeah, definitely if you're like... I know a guy, Nuno, in Portugal.
Shout out to Saturn Junkyard.
Shout out to the Saturn Junkyard, which is another community of Saturn fans. They have an excellent Facebook group and blog. He prefers to just emulate. You know, that's what he does. He's like, I love Saturn. I'm a diehard fan, original fan from day one. But he's like, I just emulate these days because he has a beefy PC and you can upscale everything. You know, so Burning Rangers looks amazing upscaled. You know, question back there?
Yeah, I was just curious, following up the emulation topic. I feel like the Sega Saturn port for Mister has been pretty slow in its progress.
It's about 50%. I mean, those...
It's still a bit janky, like I'm not gonna lie. They're trying to get, it's only one guy that's working on it. I think it was SRG or something. I forget what his name is exactly.
Back in the day with Sega's marketing, they bragged about having 8 chips.
Yeah, this isn't, yeah.
And now Mr. People are like...
I mean, to be fair though, it's impressive though, because like no one theorized that Saturn would be doable. It's like, oh, PS1 hard cap, and it's like, dang, it's insane.
Question?
Yeah, I did have a question. I'm a huge fan of the satiator.
Yeah.
And not cannibalizing consoles when we can.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, is there any updates on the flash card for the RAM card expansion? I was...
Wait, rephrase it, what?
Well, is there any updates for it's like a flash card, for like every card for the RAM card expansion? I know there was something, there was talks around that.
You're talking about Waska.
Yeah.
Yeah, so another individual from our community, who was that was handling Waska? Seven Shades, did you know?
Somebody was. Just look up blogs. It's on our website,
SegaSenshiro.com. Community is messing around with a hardware card solution that would be like the end-all, be-all. It would have Wi-Fi. It would have a really fast ESP, like a really fast system on a chip that would just do everything. That's the hope. That's definitely where it's headed. And again, like there's no limit to what fans can do. Like we have time, right? You know, and I mean, like the pandemic kind of helped, you know, because people like just were able to work from home, and a lot of stuff happened.
Work from home in quotations there. If you're developing with Saturn, you're working on something, all right. It's not probably your actual work.
Yeah, a lot of stuff happened in the Saturn scene during the pandemic. There was an explosion of activity, but even now that we're kind of getting out of it, people are still keeping that momentum and excitement around it. So,
my number 3 favorite video game of all time is a Saturn game called Dragon Force.
Oh, nice! Love that band. I'm just joking, but no, that's.
Did we talk about Dragon Force?
I don't think we have.
I would love if you would. I was going to ask if
we can talk about it even if we don't have.
Is there a translation of the second one?
Of course.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That also is in one. I think they
take my money.
Yeah, it's right there. They
I didn't see it on this.
I don't think we put it.
It doesn't really matter.
Sorry, Dragon Force fans, but I love it. We did a video on it.
It's just scratching the surface of what's available out there. But yes, it's been completely translated. It's excellent. It's not as good as the first one, but it is good.
It's pretty good.
So I know this is probably just a given, but is there any peripherals for like any way to connect peripherals to like computers or using different controllers such as the Dreamcast controller or just controller even for the Saturn, adapters and such?
I don't think there's adapters. I think there might be some to use Dreamcast, but usually it's Saturn to Dreamcast. So like, there's adapters for the twin stick, so you can use the Saturn twin stick on a Dreamcast. And there's also, like we said, the Wingman controller, and that's a Bluetooth one. So potentially, if you could connect to it, you could probably play Bluetooth Dreamcast controllers that are pretty expensive, but they're still cool nonetheless.
We have like 6 minutes left, so hit us with all your questions, I guess. You first, and then you. So.
I was just going to respond to that, but I think there's actually a version of the Brook adapter that lets you do all of the stuff you were saying. So, yeah.
Okay, that works, yeah.
Do you have any specific recommendations for adapters for PCs or any USB?
Adapter to use a Saturn controller on a PC?
Yes.
Well, I mean, does it have to be OEM, or are you cool with a retrobit
I
pad?
don't care, as long as I don't have to use my SAS controller.
Right, so grab a $40 on Castlemania games, or
Retrobits down the street, down there
a
too.
wireless pad that gives you it gives you a USB dongle and a Saturn input dongle, and it's RF, so it's 2.4 gigahertz, very, very little lag. I wouldn't like play any kind of bullet hell shmups on it, but it's great for everything else.
I mean, if you're just gonna stream Mr. Bones or something, or you're forced to stream Mr. Bones against your will, I think it's a great controller to play it because you just be able to play it. You know, since Mr. Bones doesn't really matter. So, but yeah, games like that, like RPGs, like Soccer Wars or whatever you want to play, perfect controller for RPGs. You don't have to have the input lag on that. It's just an RPG after all.
Yeah.
Yes, so before I ask my couple of questions, I just want to say thank you for not punching us and throwing us onto the floor and yelling, Sega Saturn, Shiro!
That's on the way out.
Yeah, we say play your Sega Saturns to like do these gun
So for like, to your point, like for people who don't know, like Saturn did great in Japan. Actually, it was their most successful console in Japan, funny enough, sales-wise at least. And part of that was they had an amazing ad campaign where Sagata Sanshiro, who's kind of like the Japanese Chuck Norris, would basically kick your ass if you didn't play the console. And he would beat up little kids who were like coming home from their baseball practice.
It's a little bit more funnier than it sounds.
He would,
Trust
like,
me.
he would just like totally crash an entire nightclub of adults and just kick their butts to make them play Sega Saturn.
Or just throw people on their geese across the room and they explode.
When you've got that kind of motivation, you know what I mean?
I have 2 versions of that theme song on my phone.
Yeah.
It's amazing. There's also a vinyl record of it if you're crazy like I am.
So yeah, Zelda.
Sure. Yeah, but he would explode twice.
Yeah.
He does explode twice. You're right.
Yeah. He ended up dying to save the Dreamcast.
No, he came back. He came back as like a villain. No, was that a dream? I could not. It's like was it Inception where you don't know if the Sanshiro is still spinning or not. You know, one of those things.
So we got a bunch of content. Another question?
Oh, yeah, this is a little tertiary, but just going back to the Hall effect thing.
Yeah.
In the Melee community, there's the FOB GCC, which is an open source GameCube controller motherboard that uses Hall effect sensors.
That's awesome.
So I think something similar could be
I can honestly tell you that, like, as a huge Knights fan and as somebody who plays Knights at a very high level, like I
But this is like million score dude right here.
I'm in like the high 600,000s.
I think you can get a million if you tried hard enough.
I can honestly say there's nothing like a 3D control pad. It is like a 1-to-1. It's like crazy how like as the character moves in unison with your thumb. It's not like any kind of latency. It's just 1-to-1, and nothing else feels like that. And if you play, Knights on Steam or whatever, or on an Xbox or a PS2, it's just not the same. Honestly, what else do we want to say?
What do you want to say?
Girl in the yellow hoodie has a question.
Yes. Wait, yellow hoodie?
Is the yellow hat?
Beanie. Sorry, beanie.
Beanie.
Just one more follow-up question. In regards to reproduction controllers, is there anything in regards to, say, Saturn light guns? Because I would kill to play Death Crimson with one.
Oh, that's a crazy Death Crimson.
Best shooter on the Saturn,
Sega
hands
Saturn
down.
light guns. I mean, honestly, that's something that we're all waiting for. I think there's the Sinden light gun, but I don't really think that does. But it's not. That's what the community is waiting for. And again, I guarantee it's going to be a fan, some enthusiast who's going to make it happen. I mean, technology has come so far, we can figure it out, But
yeah, the Sinden community was talking about doing Saturn compatibility at one point. It's in the communication as far as what they're trying to do, but we're going to have to wait and see what actually comes out of it.
Hopefully something good. I'd like to play House of the Dead on my 4K. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't actually get to ask my question.
What was your question? I'm sorry.
My question was, I'm going to record your answer.
No worries.
Okay.
Get us on the record.
So a friend of mine who is also just does everything by PC these days, has been trying to, he's got a Saturn emulator, I forget which one, but he's been trying to get a functioning ROM of, he's been trying to get a ROM of Panzer Dragoon Saga working, and he can't figure it out. So, any advice there?
Yeah, I'll take this one. All right, so basically I've gotten Panzer Dragoon Saga by using the Menafin emulator that we were talking about earlier. What I have done is I put a micro PC inside of an Arcade 1-Up cabinet and combined that with a control stick. And basically, I've got Panzer Dragoon Saga running on that and being able to use the multi-disc support as well. And so it definitely runs. It's good. It's very good.
How do you spell that particular Menafen?
MEDNAFEN.
I think it stands for My Emulator Doesn't Need a Name.
What the F stands for
We have
something
like 16
else.
seconds left, so I just want to plug the magazine we just put out.
I'm gonna
It's-
take a picture of you guys, by the way. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
You can find us at SegaSaturnShiro.com. You can find us on Twitter at PlaySegaSaturn. Reach out to us. We would love to talk to you. You can join our Discord. It's a really family-like community. Everyone's welcome. We're very much about just like cool vibes and keeping it real. And we just put out a magazine that's available to everyone for free to download the PDF and read about developer interviews from back in the day, and then also new developer interviews with homebrew and translation patches and all that cool stuff. We are selling it on our website for $10 a pop, but you can totally download it for free.
And you can check it out. We have a copy in the lounge if you'd like to read it yourself in a physical form. Check it out.
We got, and then we do a live show every Friday on YouTube at 3 p.m. Pacific. So you guys can hang with us every Friday and learn what's going on in the Saturn community. But yeah.
And then we have podcasts too. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you very much, guys. Thank you very much.
Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and to the right are the playlist of the Portland Retro 2022 and some other interesting videos. Thank you.